So a course playlist, when we do midterm evaluations later in the semester, we might already have one started. Now, when we think of this week, as I said, we are trying to, this week, next week, we're trying to build the theoretical tools that we're going to be moving with for the rest of the semester. And with that in mind, we have to remember that as much as I hope in the course of this class to bring attention to the ways people thrive in spite many obstacles and circumstances to the contrary, we are always in certain ways operating within a certain expectation that there's an inequality or some kind of disadvantage, right? That something here is happening that we know is having a very real impact on individual outcomes, but it seems to be happening at a level that is not at an individual level. The mechanisms, the processes that sustain these outcomes are something above and beyond individual choices and individual behaviors, even though that's in many ways what we're seeking to understand. Now, I just remember, don't let me forget to take attendance. You guys probably will, but I am once we group up, because I wanted to just give you guys a little teaser. Now, if we recall, we saw this quote last time. Social isolation is what has been described as kind of the output or byproduct of the, in some ways, max exodus of jobs, opportunities, and people who could follow them out of areas, largely central cities that previously had been very much the opposite, vibrant as a result of their proximity to the central city and the jobs, the resources, and the people therein. So we see this almost complete flip and concentration whereby not only are we seeing these outcomes of concentrated poverty, which is defined as, I want to say, poverty of 40% or more. Extreme poverty being 30% or 40% of families or individuals living under the poverty line. Crime, as well as unemployment. Or as we learned last time, once people stop looking for work, it becomes a different phenomenon of joblessness, more accurately described. Now, when we think of these components of social isolation, this is a pretty good list. Whether it's joblessness, dropping out of school, lower educational achievement overall, involvement in crime, unsuccessful behavioral development and delinquency among adolescents, non-marital childbirth, and unsuccessful family management. We have shown that concentrated poverty adversely affects one's chances in life, beginning in early childhood and adolescence. And these are some of the pathways by which we see that kind of negative outcomes accumulate. Now, what's complicated though in this class and in the theories that we'll be working with is many of the things on this list, I think we could all, given the chance, think of both structural and individual ways finding a job is hard, or finishing high school is hard, or why overall you might see different relationship patterns or different child rearing patterns, childbirth patterns. Those things, although they are deeply structural and informed by context, there are also things that are informed by what we have called culture, right? Now, culture is one of those things that is, in one hand, something I think we can all at a gut level identify and discern, and like we know it when we see it. But at the same time, it's often also something that can be intangible, as real as it is. And we know it's a part of our lives, both positively and negatively. It's also something that can be very hard to put our hands on tangibly. Now, that also means that from a description level and an analysis level, it's difficult to actually describe or capture its impact. Now, why might we even be worried about culture in the first place? This is what I kind of skipped over last time, but we have to remember that a lot of the work we're learning from, particularly William Julius Wilson's work, is a direct response to a majority of sociology's history that pathologized those living in communities shaped by poverty and other negative circumstances. That it was actually very okay to what's been described, blame the victim, to say that those who live in these communities must in some way just be deviant from the rest of us, that there are reasons why they don't value the same things, they don't hold their children to the same standards, they don't teach the same things, or lessons aren't passed down, that this is clearly just some aberrant, I think is the word, like off the average. They are deviant. These are, I mean, they're worse words they were saying, I can assure you. And what's crazy is, like, for, you know, we've had a couple years since the truly disadvantaged popped off. So let's say we've got 40 years in the tank of speaking somewhat respectfully about these conditions. If we think of sociology, though, as having maybe its genesis in the industrial age, globally speaking, in America, I would say contemporary theory, I usually start like 1910s forward. So if we think of almost that much, if not twice that, of a history that was deeply negative and assuming a lot. And that reflected the theories and the policies that came out of all of that work. Now, some of the really big examples in the past that kind of, you know, it's messed up to say that people actually thought they were doing a good job. They thought that they were actually holding space and articulating the very real conditions under which individuals lived, so that policymakers and the government, broadly speaking, could intervene accordingly. Now, they were part of, you know, a deeply colonial system, if I could be so bold. And so it's not unreasonable that what they saw with different eyes, they just couldn't make sense of. And so instead of trying to see the world under what circumstances would these decisions make sense, which has been the bulk of the research since the truly disadvantaged, you know, under what conditions would these actually be rational choices, they instead blamed the victim and essentially said that these are just a culture of poverty. There was Oscar Lewis in the 60s looking at the different slums of Puerto Rico, or Moynihan in Chicago in America, essentially saying that these are places where people don't value hard work. They don't value education. They don't value marriage. That's why we don't see high rates of any of these things. I think that if you come from a community that has been described negatively, you can probably think of different ways outsiders or people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about might say that one thing, oh, clearly it means this, when they don't appreciate how the behavior they're describing has a completely different meaning and a completely different expectation to those who are actually making those choices. And the way you explain that is culture. Now, if we think of people who maybe kind of pushed back against this, there was very rightly so critiques that this is blaming the victim, and people tried to rectify that, but they almost went the other way with it. They blamed it so much on structure. There was such a heavy emphasis on that. Then there was no room for agency. And I think that as sociologists, one of the things that we have to always remember is that, yes, we are studying societies and the way people interact, but even as we think of the social actor, we can't be guilty of forgetting about the actor, the agent, the person inside each of us, the I, the me, the other. What is it? I'm not my thoughts. I'm the one hearing my thoughts. Those are things that sociology has been hit or miss about holding space for. And I think when we try to explain negative outcomes, sometimes we go the other way with it. We completely rob people of their ability to make choices and to still find themselves in outcomes that are not of their choosing. Now, arguably, we know that it's not that simple. And so that is, in many respects, what the truly disadvantaged and this larger paradigm of concentrated disadvantage seeks to explain. Now, it does so by incorporating culture in a respectful way that was hard to do previously, even as it perhaps makes it harder to discern what is causing what. Now, cultural codes ultimately could hinder integration into broader society and are therefore dysfunctional. In other words, they can contribute to the perpetuation of poverty. But you can understand under what context could cultural codes keep you safe? Could they actually make more sense? Could they be the more appropriate way to move in more local contexts? where does that then become a constraint towards social mobility or moving in the world at large? That is where the cultural component of the study of poverty kind of comes into play. And we know from this week's readings that culture is something that is always going to be at play. It's probably one of the hardest things to intervene and impact in from a policy level. But when we think of politics and, pragmatism, this, that, and the other, more often than not, it's not a matter of the numbers. It's a matter of the culture, the way people hear things and understand things as mediated by the tools they use, whether that's cognitive or otherwise. Now, I'm trying to skip around a couple words that we're going to spend the rest of today defining. That is taking us into our group activity, because I have some content about what each of these things are, but you all are going to work together to in groups of probably 5 or 6. It'll be approximate. If you're on Zoom, just hang tight. We won't be going over values because, as I said, that in many ways is an older reflection of sociology's entire way of thinking. And it can be real dicey to do the study of values appropriately. So instead, we're going to focus on the other 6 ways culture has been defined and studied in sociology. And you'll be using today's reading for this. There are examples and all of that for each. So with this, we're going to go ahead and start breaking up into groups. Like I said, hang tight on Zoom. What we're going to do is we'll count to 6. And then once everyone has a number, I'll tell you where to go. And then from there, we'll decide who does what. There's always an incentive to want to go first. So we will, I'll assign the order of the topics, and then you can pick. We'll see how that goes. I might do a random number generator. But let's start, we'll start in the front and we'll go this side and come on here. So if we're making eye contact, hopefully you know, and it's your turn. But I don't like to point, but I will point now. 1, 2, 3, 4, go back, 5, 6, perfect. 1, 2, sliding down, 3, perfect. Go all the way back, 4, sliding down, 5, and then 6, perfect. And then on the very back, 1, excellent. Over Aaron, 2, 3, perfect. We'll skip across. We got 4, and 4 and 5, right in the very back. 5, and then we're going to skip to the door right closest. You're going to be 6. Thank you so much. And then there's no one in that row. We're going to go 7. Go ahead. Or 7. 1. See, I had one job. 1. Thank you. 2, 3. Perfect. And we're going to come ahead. 4. Perfect. 5 right in front of you. Yeah, 5. Perfect. 5 and then 6. Yes, Adrian. In front of Adrian, 1. I almost said 7 again. 2, Rebecca. 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Perfect. Okay, so we are going to have, remember your number, and no one's number 7. We'll have 1s up here in the corner. 2s are going to be in the middle towards the aisle. 3s are going to be in the far back. And then on this side, we're going to have 4s in the front. 5, you're going to be across from the 2s in the middle. And 6, you'll be in the far back. Awesome. Zoomland, you're going to get to participate, but your assignment will be based on what they get here in the room. So if you'll just hang tight, I am going to go ahead and put this in the chat so that you can see what you're going to do. Okay. Excellent. So this is what you'll do all together. That's in the chat, but just hold tight. If I send it later during breakout rooms, it won't go into the chat. So save that for a second. All righty. So what are we going to say? We're going to say. Okay, so now we're gonna bust out attendance real fast, real fast. I know. But it matters for the assignment as well, because if we don't get through all the presentations today, we will finish up the next time we come together. So, what are we gonna do? We are gonna do a random number generator. Let's see here. And 1 to 6. And you'll get to pick, as a group, you get to pick what you want here after we go through the attendance of your, what's that? Oh, did I hear a question? Oh, okay. After we go through the attendance for your group. All righty, so we're gonna go 6. You've been generated. Here, we'll show everyone. Okay, number 6 in the far corner. Go ahead and go through last initial, first name, and then tell me what you would like of the options here on the board. Yeah, so let's go ahead. We'll start on one end. See, Amanda. Thank you. Don't forget, you guys are sitting by each other, so you'll want to know each other's names. Hey, Nina, thank you. Perfect. Next to Nina. Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Group 6, what would you guys like on the board? Institutions. Awesome. Mhm. Group 3, 1, 2, 3, very back. Go ahead. We're gonna do attendance first, and then, or how about you pick if you want to pick first. That's easier because I have the pen. Do you know which one you guys want? Oh. Oh, well, sorry. Yeah. It's heavy as hell, but it doesn't stop. Okay. Poking out on. God, that's pressure. Hmm. How about repertoires? All righty, group 3. Awesome, group 3. Okay, and then attendance. We'll start with Jackie. Go ahead. Okay, perfect. Awesome. And then behind, yeah, go ahead. Said G, that's right. With a H or without a H? With H, thank you. Next to Amaya with the letters. And Evelyn. There it is. All righty. I would say I'm gonna skip back to the same row as Jacqueline. I'm sorry, I skipped. Go ahead. Yes. Gee, Tilly, thank you. Perfect. And then back. Yes. Perfect. Okay, we got it representing group 3. Excellent. Now, group, oh wait, no, it doesn't. I was gonna go to group 2, but we number generator. 4. Almost. Go ahead. If you want to pick first or names first, do you have a preference? Frames, yes. Oh, there's no more. Yes, frames. Perfect. Okay. Allie, go ahead, say aloud for everybody else as I find you. Is it last name? Initial, yeah, M. Perfect. Thank you. Emily. Perfect. Thank you. For everybody next time. Go ahead. Yes. Justin. Yes, next to Justin. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Group 4. Group 1. There you go. Yeah, do you want to pick? What do you guys like? Symbolic. 100. Awesome. And then attendance, I'm gonna start with Miguel's, tell everyone else. Now, Miguel, thank you. Perfect, perfect. Oh God, where's it? There we are. And then M. Perfect, thank you. Excellent, next Trinidad. Is it N? G, okay. Okay, there was an N. G, Nancy. Alrighty, perfect. So then we've got, okay. Now, who else do we have? Who's left? 2 and 5. 5. What do you guys, what would you like? Now we've got cultural capital, oops, and narratives left. Narrative, awesome. All righty, go ahead with attendance. Who would like to start? Say that again. I. Ah, perfect, Mario, thank you. Said it M, right? M, Mariana? Oh, L, my man, thank you. Aha, perfect, thank you. All right, next. Yes, perfect, next Taylor. Thank you. And Maya, thank you. Yes, alrighty, there we go. Group 2, take us, oh, I guess you've got the luxury of cultural capital. That's I was like, yeah, luxury, group, that's a hint. Group, what do we say, group 2? Um, okay, group 2, let's go attendance. Who would like to start? Rebecca, go ahead. Perfect. Thanks, Rebecca. Marjorie. We're gonna go in a circle. It's like go like this. Get raise home. Go ahead. See Martha or Monica? Monica, perfect. Christopher. Yes, perfect. Excellent. Takes out. Camille. Thank you, Camille. Perfect. And if you're on Zoom, I actually got you guys already, but I'm gonna double check. Hang tight, because Zoom, you're gonna get filtered in, assigned here, and you will know which group you're on based on your breakout room. So what we're gonna do now, we have about a half hour left in class. We are gonna start presentations today. I'm gonna make a list of everybody, and we'll come back if we don't finish them all today. But what you're gonna spend now is the next 15 minutes approximately, going through your term so that you can present out to the group essentially. And now, you're not just gonna present, you're gonna come up and it'll be on the board. So as you can see, there'll be pins. And there is a little bit of scrambling, but I will take pictures because we won't be able to save the board, but we can show it next time. So come on up once you guys have, stuff to write on the board. I always tell people, sometimes can be good to have people who are researchers on the team, people who decide I'd love to go up and write. And I don't mind presenting. So when it's our turn, I can read to the room. So those are the kind of different group tasks you'll have to divvy up amongst yourselves. And yeah, you should have a definition, you should have examples, and you should have a critique. Because as we know, there's different ways to study culture. So there's no right or wrong answer, but you can kind of look at maybe what do other ways of culture, what do they do that might not be included in your turn, or vice versa. So yes, I'm going to turn on some songs. We'll get going with that, and I'll be sure to add the definitions to these, so that'll be more straightforward for all you guys. Awesome. Zoom land, give me 1 second, and you're going to do the same. Okay. Let's see here. Let's do the course playlist from last year.
What was it that stayed my hand then? With dagger held and sheathed, blade pointing in its side. I'd been set upon by a predator. It was just looking for a meal. I saw ribs and fearful eyes. What is it that stayed my hand now? With so much misery that I could mercifully put an end to. For that animal that slave off into the undergrowth unscathed. Do I sit that with just pertains to stopping?
Either one, whatever is easiest. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Okay. Zoom.
Find some reason that's really to a beast. With haunting all my steps. Questioning all my choices. With that dagger held unsheathed, felt sick of my contempt. You love me, you like me, like outside force it sends me. If I was easy to kill, you would have done it already. By fire, you're a gentle peace, and I'm alive. You are at my feet, by the fire. You're a gentle beast, and I'm alive. You are at my feet, by the fire. You're a house of gentle beast, and I'm alive. By the fire. You know that I'm already.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Straight chillin', sipping liquor in the backyard. Straight living like I never had a bad thought. Still thankful for the blessings on my worst day. Glad I made it out the gutter, I was mad large. I wonder if my mama love me still. I wonder if my dad fuck with me. Every day it felt like I was pushing boulders up the hill. Even if you feel like I'm worthless, I say I love you anyway. Like flowers do the daylight. Love you when your flaws couldn't make you what you ain't like. Even when you try to put me down, let Jehovah bring me up. You be steady talking down, but I still don't give a fuck. You come at me out of hate, I forgive you out of love. You been living with your pain. but been acting like you tough. And I get it, I ain't tripping. You ain't perfect and it shows. Over everything, I feel like you should know that I love you anyway. Like flowers do the daylight. Love you with your flaws, couldn't make you what you ain't like. I love you anyway. Like flowers do the daylight. Even when you dead wrong, look at you the same. Like I love you anyway. Like flowers do the rain.
Oh, you're coming on up. I'm gonna just scoot out. Ooh.
Flowers do the day.
Hmm.
They was talking shit to bring me down. Clouds hanging over my head. Never again. Who is you? It's all down. Do you got your shit together? Are you keeping it 100? Are you really any better than me? Or do it make you feel better about yourself when you telling me I ain't shit when really I'm just trying to live and I believed it for a while until I realized that you just a bitch teasing me like scratching your
It
face.
is, yes.
You a fucking
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. I gotta give it up to last semester's class suggestion. Yeah, yeah.
Thing called habit. I developed it young, but I'm a grind, see your face, look, jealous.
Take from the reading. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, of course.
I'm fair, I'm a winner, and I'm a prove it. Finna tell me you feel bad for my son, cause I'm his dad. You a bitter motherfucker, it's sad. Still, I love you anyway, like, flowers in the daylight. Love you with your flaws, couldn't make you what you ain't like. I love you anyway, like, flowers do the daylight. Even when you're dead wrong, look at you the same way. I love you anyway. Like flowers do the rain. Said I love you anyway. Like flowers do the day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, go ahead, please. Yeah. Yeah, I did not think that out, honestly. I was like, I'm hoping I'm gonna make an announcement and maybe these groups will come up sooner than later, but you're more than welcome to move it if you'd like. Yeah, yeah. See here. No one's that tall. Yeah. All right.
I can put this up here.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It does not.
Color it up.
Up to you, totally.
So if you're running big or just leave this small,
Ah,
because it's a real small thing to be write a massive definition of.
yeah, I would say they don't have to all be able to read it, but whoever comes and presents should be able to read it. And I take pictures of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Need your help on this one. It's for frames. Frames is like the subset of what people use to communicate live. So like, say if I wink, someone would think that I blinked, but it could also be used to portray like humor or something else. So I don't know what the critique would be other than the fact that it's subject to interpretation. But
I think
but
that's exactly it. Yeah, yeah, it's subjective.
I was gonna pick this one, but somebody else had it, because that I can define and prove. This one is like I have to, it's subject to anybody can think it's.
Yeah, that would probably be the
I'll put
biggest
that down,
critique.
right?
Yeah, subjective. It depends on who's looking, what they see. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Use minutes. Be right back.
All right. Last couple of minutes. If you don't have something on the board yet, you should go ahead and start heading up. Mm-hmm. 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 Like, none of the approaches do everything. And so some of them do things that other ones don't do very well. And so, for example, the case of frames, technically frames, it kind of depends on who's looking, what you can see. And so a critique of that would be something like, it's kind of subjective, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Mhm. Okay, we got 3 minutes left. Last little bit. So if you see some empty spots, make sure your group's got it filled in. Group one, you guys are about filled in. I might ask if you're willing to go present. I was like, I think we might have people still filling things in a little, but I'm gonna have you guys start if that's okay. Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's up to you. It's up to you if you want to come all the way up. You can. Oh, thumbs up. Oh, wait. Yeah, it looks way good. Heck yeah. Honestly, you guys win. You had it filled in first. Yeah. Oh, shit. Last minute, last minute. Do it. No, it's that tall. Uh, if anything, I'm gonna start having one group go. And so once she finishes that, I think we can have this board cleared or covered for a second. If you're okay, still right while they go. Let's see here. What is that? Repertoires. Who's repertoires? Okay. That's good. That's good. Alrighty. Okay. All righty, we're gonna get going. Our Zoom compatriots have joined us. As a reminder, if you're on Zoom, you guys, I'm gonna read what you've got, and we'll include that in the group that goes. But we need someone, a brave soul, to write it in the chat for us. So go ahead and take that on, and I'll check back on that shortly. I did ask Symbolic Boundaries, Group 1, if they would be willing to kick us off here. Like I said, we are going to run into next time. So remember what group you were in. I have broad notes, but I don't want to have to name names. Go ahead. Symbolic Boundaries. Hit it.
So, we're group one, we did symbolic boundaries. So the definition we found within like the reading was, conceptual distinctions between objects, people, and practices that operate as a system of rule that guide interactions by affecting who comes together to engage in what social act. So an example that we brought up altogether was society believing that poor people are lazy and it's their fault. They're in the position that they're in, right? So, some critiques that we have against it, obviously that's not true. You can really see it. We have like 4 points. So we have limited access to education. Obviously, not everybody's able to access education. There's marginalized communities. There's SES status, the socioeconomic status that people have, and then there's healthcare issues, and there's also the scenario with redlining. And obviously with redlining, when people are put into neighborhoods due to, their race, and because of it, people aren't able to get back out of those neighborhoods. Then that's it.
Excellent. Is there anything, I was like, anything from the group to add? I'm gonna try not to chime in too much, but great work. Any last points? Anyone add? Right? Yeah. I was like, symbolic boundaries are one of those things that are the hardest to see and to touch, but have some of the most profound implications for all of us. And you should know, if you're like, gosh, we're going through this kind of fast, this could be like a whole class. It could be. Cultural sociology is an entire discipline. Now, group 6, institutions, I'm going to call on you guys because we had a submission from your Zoom peeps as well. Group 6, would you guys like to go through your points, and then I will add what they've added here. Go ahead. You can come up to the board. You can say it loud and proud from the back. I think you guys were back there.
institutions, we defined it as informal and formal rules, procedures,
Routines.
Oh.
I think.
routines, and norms. And it's social construction, shared with cognitive and imperative skills. And then an example we gave is like it impacts community benefits like education goals and family and values. So basically in the reading, they gave an example of like welfare services versus poor in working. So basically, based on culture, people are either doing welfare services or they are forced to work and still be poor. And then for the critique, we said that it introduced alternative ways of thinking about culture, suggests culture may interact with structural differently, understand racial differences, and it's far more complex besides assuming poverty is an individual problem.
Excellent, excellent. What is it? Institutions are things that actually, if anything, of all the things on the list, like, yeah. I just jumped in. I was like, we got 4 minutes left. Thank you. And if anything, at the same time, the group online just sent a huge blurb. Yeah, just fire online. If you guys think I'm crazy, look here, I'll show you. I can show you. I am crazy for other reasons, but look. Yeah, right? So I was trying to assimilate all that just now. Yeah, they're flexing on us in Zoom land. Thank you guys. We're gonna come back to that next time. I think that makes the most sense. I'm gonna end it here with our institutions group and I'll take pictures. We'll present next time if you didn't go this time. Institutions, we can actually all think of institutions that we interact with on a daily basis. And so what's hard about the institution part of cultural sociology is that almost the opposite. Symbolic boundaries are things that can be very amorphous and intangible, whereas institutions might be the kind of culture, like living examples. It's something you can touch. UC Merced, the UC system, we can think of physical representations, but then we also know that it is a system and an institution above and beyond the concrete buildings and the students and the faculty who make up each campus. Now, when we come back next week, we're going to continue this discussion of what does culture look like for the study of disadvantage. And if you are in the 4 groups who have yet to go, we're going to go ahead and have you guys present. And Zoom land, you guys just really killed it. So I'm going to find a way to show that to the group visually. So you'll see that up next time. So don't forget, there's basketball games tonight. Come out and show your school pride. Go Bobcats. Please take pictures. I'm going to put them up. So you can see. Gently, but they'll never forgive me. I'll rock this spot.
Professor, I have a question about the Zoom.
Yeah.
Do we like check in?
So you only get credit if you send the 1-page reflection.
Okay.
And so like I can always kind of see who's on the call, which is just cool.
Okay.
But the way you get the credit is just 1 page, double spaced, whatever resonates. Yeah, and you send that, it doesn't have to be a rush. And I usually process them in batch form. So there might be a bit of a lag time from when you submit to when you get a reply back.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. See you next time. Yeah. All right, Zoomland, you guys are officially able to go. I don't know if that was clear, but you are. I am saving these awesome notes. I love how much effort you guys put into it. Thank you so much for your due diligence. We'll see you next time. Stay well. If you have questions, feel free to hang out. We don't have any in the room, so you're first in line. Just give me a second to clear the room. Hi, I see we have a couple people here. You do not have to submit a summary. Can we attend 2 Zoom sessions? You absolutely can. Thank you for that question. And yeah, if you decide to go to one, it makes more sense to go to another Zoom so you can get that full 10. Same rules apply. You just send the reflection. So you do have to do 2 reflections, but you'll still get the points. Attendance was taken for Zoom. I'm going to double check because I tried to get everyone, but let me make sure that I've got you, Stephanie. Thank you for making sure. If anyone else has any questions, go ahead, but I think those were the ones I'm getting. No summary. You guys have more than enough credit. You guys killed it on Zoom. Yeah. Make sure we got Stephanie. Yep, we got Stephanie. We're all good. Thank you, guys. Have a good day. The next class is coming, so I'm gonna clear the board. Hi.